So, now you know what do you mean by crystallography and why it is essential for all. So, crystallography is the branch of science and technology which deals with the shape, geometrical shape and size of the crystal with reference to their properties. Anything relevant to geometrical shape, size, if connected to the property of the crystal, then it is crystallography, right. So, depending on the probe, again it is divided into different parts. If the probe is X-ray, it is X-ray crystallography. If it is neutron, neutron crystallography. If it is electron, electron crystallography, right. So, there are different probes. So, accordingly it is X-ray crystallography, then electron crystallography and neutron crystallography. But crystallography is common for all, only depending on the probe they are named. If it is X-ray, X-ray crystallography, if neutron, neutron crystallography, if it is electron, then electron crystallography. Purpose is same. Everywhere you have to find out the geometrical shape, size and then relevant that to properties. Then now, of course, that includes every protein crystallography, cellulose crystallography, macromolecular crystallography, everything comes under that only. If the source is X-ray, accordingly you name it as X-ray crystallography. If it is neutron, neutron crystallography. If it is electron, then it is electron crystallography. But the purpose of all crystallography is same. But depending on the suitability of the purpose, you have to select which probe will be suitable for you. All the time X-ray may not help you. Similarly, the other two also. So, depending on the circumstance and situation, you have to select what kind of probe is solving your problem, right. Sometimes X-ray, sometimes electron, sometimes neutron. If you need the magnetic behavior, then X-ray cannot help, electron cannot help, neutron will help, right. But similarly, the other two are there. Depending on the purpose of study, you have to select your probe, which probe will be better to go for that kind of crystallography. But now we will concentrate only on this X-ray crystallography. And now you know about a crystal. Crystal is nothing but the regular arrangement of the entities in a material. If there is regular arrangement of atoms, molecules or ions, then obviously it is a crystalline solid, right. In a solid, if the entity means once I am telling entity, you should keep in your mind that may be atom, may be molecule, may be ion. Entity means everything. So, if these entities are arranged in a regular fashion, following certain rules and regulations for their arrangement, then you can tell it is having crystalline structure. But if there is irregularity in arrangement, obviously it is amorphous, right. So, if there is irregularity in arrangement of the entities, then it is amorphous, but if it is regular or orderly, then it must be crystalline. If it is combination of both, it is semi-crystalline. Usually all solids are categorized in three categories: crystalline solid, amorphous solid and semi-crystalline solid. Semi-crystalline covers both the phases, crystalline phase as well as amorphous phase. If they are simultaneously, then that kind of solid is named as semi-crystalline solid. But if it is purely crystalline, then obviously one phase is there, purely amorphous one phase is there, but in semi-crystalline there are two phases, one is crystalline phase, other one is the amorphous phase, and all polymers and polymeric composites coming under that category. May it be natural or artificial, all polymers and polymeric composites comes under that category, which is semi-crystalline solid. Of course, when you are telling this protein crystallography or macromolecular crystallography, there it is little bit different, but anyway the crystallography covers the regular arrangement of the entities. That entity there will be protein molecules or glucose molecules, if it is covers the cellulose, depending on what kind of entity you are selecting. There is protein crystallography, like many other macromolecular crystallography also, but they are accordingly named. If it is protein, which is a macromolecule, it is protein crystallography. So, obviously tells that the protein arrangement or the molecules of the proteins are regularly arranged there, that is why it is crystallography. How will you resolve it? It depends again on the probe, whether it is X-ray, electron or neutron, but ultimatum is the same. You want to know the shape and size of the crystals available there, because unless you know the shape and size, you can never connect it with the property or behavior. That is why shape and size is very important, geometrical shape and size of the crystals. Then, so now if you think about the crystal, then now the crystal structure basically tells crystal structure is combination of two. One is called as the crystal lattice plus crystal basis. These two things are very important for crystal structure. You have to understand both if you understand the structure, right. When you tell about geometrical shape and size, it covers both crystal lattice and crystal basis. So, then now what is crystal lattice and what is crystal basis? How they will give the crystal structure? Then now, if I will take the simplest cubic simplest system, that is the cubic system, let us say this is a cubic system where the lattice parameters are all equal, A equal to B equal to C, and this angle interfacial angles are all 90, A equal to B equal to C, alpha equal to beta equal to gamma equal to 90 degree. If this condition is satisfied, then only you can tell that is a cubic crystal. May it be simple, body centered, face centered again, but it is cubic, right. So, now the question is, when suppose for example, let us say copper, this is copper atom, copper atoms are everywhere there at the corners, if it is simple cubic, and obviously copper is simple cubic, right. Copper is a simple cubic structure, means the atoms are there only at the corners. So, then now if I will replace these atoms by simple points, right. If those atoms are replaced by points, then you will get a point group in space, that is the lattice, right. That is the lattice, crystal lattice, because it is a crystal, unit cell, whatever it may be, because combination of unit cell will give you the crystal. So, obviously, we will get a group of points if the entities are replaced by points. So, that group of points in space is called as the lattice, right. So, you can tell it is imaginary, it is never real, but crystal structure is real. But to understand in a better way, lattice is essential. You just replace the entities by points, then you will get a group of points in space, and you can tell it is the crystal lattice, which is imaginary, but have important role to understand the crystal structure, right. Then now the question is, what is the basis, crystal basis, because combination of both will give you the structure. Crystal lattice cannot tell you the crystal structure, or crystal basis cannot tell you the crystal structure unless they combine together. So, now you understand what is crystal lattice. So, if I will take a group of entities in the space, then lattice is known to you, but what is the structure? You cannot know. So, there should be some basis. Basis means what are the actual atoms present in there, or what are the actual entities. If it is a copper, entity is copper. If it is sodium chloride, entity is sodium chloride, then that is the basis. So, lattice and basis together is giving the crystal structure. So, if it is a unit cell of copper, then obviously you cannot tell it is only lattice, it is combination of both. Lattice is there, basis is there. Hence, you are telling it is a copper crystal, and similarly for all others, right. So, therefore, any crystal structure is clear only when both are clear. There should be crystal lattice and basis, and both must be clear to you, understand the structure, otherwise you cannot understand the crystal structure. So, then now if you are telling that lattice, so now generally in crystallography the most important part is of course this crystal lattice, because to represent the crystal you will never go to the real space all the time, right. You cannot go to the real space. Suppose there is a copper piece, no doubt there are copper crystals, but copper cubic crystals, but can you represent all those unit cells present in the copper piece? No, but you can represent them by lattice. right. Those lattice points are representing the copper atoms, that understand that it is a copper unit cell or copper crystal. So, the representation is usually, that is why it is called as lattice parameter. For cubic, why you are telling it is lattice parameter? Because that tells about the lattice. Basis is obvious, you should have to understand what are the entities, right, but lattice tells the geometrical shape and size. So, then now if I will tell now, let this is the A direction, this is the B direction and this is the C direction, A, then B, then C, then obviously the angle between this B and C is called as your alpha, then B and A will your A and C is beta and this is your gamma, right. You cannot change it because it is internationally finalized, nobody can change it. If you want to learn crystallography, you have to remember it. What is the angle, interfacial angle? Because you cannot tell that the angle between this B and C is beta, it must be alpha only, right. Similarly, if you go for the axis, then I can represent in this way. If this is A direction, this is B direction, crystallographic axes are like this, 3 directions, then obviously this angle must be beta. You cannot change that, nobody can change that, not you, not me, anybody cannot change this, right, because it is decided by the International Union of Crystallography. Then this angle is alpha and this angle is gamma. So, A, B, C and alpha, beta, gamma are very important to explain any lattice. Then now, you know about those axes, they are called as the crystallographic axis, because in that direction the primitives are, means the repeated units are going with an interval of A, that is why it is A axis, that is the primitive in that direction. Similarly, if you go to this direction, it is C, at that distance you are getting one entity, that is why that is chosen as the axis, crystallographic axis. Similarly, in this direction that distance is repeated with a distance of B, that is why they are named as B axis, because axis must have a property and that property tells in that direction the repeated entity is available at that distance, that is why it is named as B axis, A axis, C axis, right. So, now knowing this, then now so when you go to explain any crystal, how many crystal systems are there? On the basis of this lattice parameters A, B, C and alpha, beta, gamma, you can construct all the geometrical shape size of 7 systems only by these 6 parameters A, B, C, alpha, beta, gamma. That will tell you about the geometrical shape and size of any crystal or any crystal system. And there are how many crystal systems? There are 7 crystal systems, but before that I will tell you about Bravais lattice. What do you mean by a Bravais lattice? Lattice you know, right, but the name is given by Bravais, that is why it is accepted to be a Bravais lattice. But what is the meaning of that kind of lattice? In early 80s, a scientist named Bravais has given that kind of lattice, that is why it is named as Bravais lattice, and it is nothing but a point lattice, group of points, right, group of points like your simple lattice, and he clarified and he has explained the crystal system by those kind of lattices. That is why it is named as Bravais lattices or point lattices, same thing, right. Bravais lattice is also sometimes called as the point lattices, because it will explain about the points, how the arrangement is there. Then under that category, of course, you will come with these symbols P, I, C, R. He has explained only by these 4 symbols all Bravais lattices, means point groups, right. And then what is this P? P means primitive. Primitive you know, if there is a simple or single entity, atom per unit cell, then only can tell that as primitive. Like here in this case of copper, how many atoms are there per unit cell? 1. because each corner atom is served by 8 unit cells. So, the contribution to every unit cell is 1 by 8th part of an atom. So, the total atom in this unit cell is 1 and hence it is a primitive. In that way Bravais has named, right. So, only cubic is primitive, all others are non-primitive. Reason is very clear, because it will contain more than 1 atoms per unit cell, that is why. So, primitive means 1 atom per unit cell. If it is more than that, obviously it is non-primitive. Even body centered cubic is non-primitive, face centered cubic is non-primitive, only simple cubic is primitive, right. And all other systems are coming under that category, which is called as the non-primitive system. So, that symbol is given as P, primitive, that is the representation of Bravais lattice. Once you are telling primitive, obviously it tells that how the entities are arranged in the unit cell, right. And if it is body centered, this I, right, and face centered, this, base centered, this. If atoms are there at the body center, which is called as the BCC, then representing that by Bravais as I symbol. Similarly, face centered C, similarly base centered R. In that way Bravais has named, and that lattice is called as the Bravais lattices or point lattices, right. So, then now 7 systems, but 14 Bravais lattices, remember it. There are 7 systems, but 14 Bravais lattices. That means all systems are not having Bravais lattices, all systems are not having Bravais lattices, right, but total number will be 14, not that each is having 2, right. Each system is not having 2 Bravais lattices, some are having 1, some are having 2, some are having 4, but total number is 14. There are 14 Bravais lattices. All 7 systems together is having 14 Bravais lattices, right. So, Bravais lattice means you have to explain them in terms of these P, I, C, R. Like for example, if I will tell it is cubic system, then it is 3. There are 3 Bravais lattices P, I, C. You know why it is, right. Like that, if you go for all 7 systems, the total number is 14, but not all are having 3, all are having 2, but at least all are having 1, right. All are having 1 Bravais lattice minimum, but rest systems or other systems may have 2, may have 3, may have 4. Maximum is 4, minimum is 1, total is 14, right. Minimum is 1, maximum is 4, total will be 14. So, 7 systems are having 14 Bravais lattices and the cubic is having 3 Bravais lattices. Simple cubic, primitive, body centered cubic, face centered cubic, right. Similarly, all other systems are having different Bravais lattices, but together it is 14. There are 14 Bravais lattices. Then now, when you tell about the lattice, then what that lattice tells basically. If you take any lattice, obviously it is involved with the crystal. Without crystal, there is no lattice, right. Then what do you mean by the lattice? It is a group of points, no doubt, in space, but that will be not irregularly arranged. That group of points must have certain order, right. Any group of points cannot be a lattice. Any group of points in space cannot be a lattice, right. So, if it is accepted to be a lattice, then there should be certain order in their arrangement, then only you can take it as an crystal lattice. So, once you are telling crystal lattice, obviously you should keep in your mind that that group of points in space must have certain order, otherwise it can never be accepted to be a crystal lattice. Any group of points is never crystal lattice. if the condition satisfied there is, there should be certain order or regularity in arrangement of those points in space, then only it will be accepted as the crystal lattice. So, then now what is that order and in what way they are arranged? Let us say I will tell really crystal is 3 dimensional, but for simplicity let us start with 1 dimension. What do you mean by 1 dimensional lattice? 1 dimension means any one direction, right. Suppose for example, here is an entity, here is an entity, here is an entity, here is an entity, then the distances are all equal. Then you can accept, yes, that is an 1 dimensional lattice. But if one entity is here, another entity is here, another entity is here, you cannot. That is not an 1 dimensional lattice, because the arrangement is not regular. The points are not arranged regularly, orderly. So, this is an 1 dimensional lattice, but this is not an 1 dimensional lattice. Both are 1 dimension, but one is lattice, other is not lattice. Similarly, if you extend it for 2 dimension, then what will happen? Construct yourself, construct a 2 dimensional lattice, that is in your plane of paper, which is 2 dimensional. You construct a 2 dimensional lattice on your paper, and simultaneously you must have to satisfy yourself why I accept it as a 2 dimensional lattice. This group is a 2 dimensional lattice or not? Because it is order. In any direction you may go, but the order is maintained, right. The order is maintained, hence it can be accepted to be a 2 dimensional lattice, right. Then similarly, I am telling you, suppose for example, I am showing again the 2 dimensional lattice here. Let us say in this direction it is A, in this direction it is B, right. Then only you can tell it is maintaining order, otherwise not. If at a distance in this direction entities are there, in this direction at a distance of B entities are there, then only you can accept that to be a lattice, otherwise not. Then now this should follow certain rules to tell that a group of points is a lattice or not, right. So, then what is that? For example, if you can select origin anywhere, because there is a group of points in space, you can select your origin for measurement purpose, right. Let us say I am taking, here is my origin, this is the origin of the group, right. So, if that is the origin, let us say I will connect this to this point, which is another lattice point here, because you have to connect it from the origin. Anywhere the origin may be selected, but you have to connect that origin with another point, right. Then obviously I can tell now this plus this vector is giving you this vector, am I right? And it follows the mathematical rule that if it is r vector, then obviously I can tell r vector is nothing but equal to n times A plus m times B, if it is 2 dimensional. If this condition is satisfied, then only you can accept that to be a crystal lattice, because it satisfies the vector triangle law, and this is the position vector, because the point from the origin to that point is a position vector of that point in crystal lattice, represented by r vector. So, if r vector is given by this relation, then obviously you can accept that group to be a crystal lattice. You can select your origin anywhere, it is a must, right. Your origin may be anywhere, you can take any point, but this condition is must, right. You can verify it yourself. Once it is not there, you cannot tell it is a lattice, 2 dimensional lattice. Similarly, if it is 3 dimensional, extend your idea for 3 dimension, one more dimension is there, and really crystals are 3 dimensional, right. Really crystals are 3 dimensional, these are all imaginary to understand. So, when you are telling 3 dimensional, obviously another parameter will come here, it is n A plus MB plus PC, right? If it is 3 dimension, another axis will come. So, this N, M, P must be integer, it can never be fraction, remember it. M, N, P must be an integer only. If yes, then only you can take that as a crystal lattice, real crystal lattice. So, you can select your origin anywhere, you can take the point anywhere, but if you find out it must satisfy this condition. If it is satisfied, then only it is accepted, otherwise rejected. So, depending on the now what it tells basically how these entities are arranged or how the points are arranged in the space, right. How the points means they are representing the entities, because real crystal is never having points, rather they are having the entities, but we are understanding it in terms of points. So, point group is imaginary, but that represents the crystal if it is replaced by the basis, right. If the point group is replaced by the basis, then you are getting the real crystal, otherwise not. So, therefore, if you think in that way, then this condition is a must. If it is a crystal lattice, it should have to be satisfy this condition, otherwise it cannot be a crystal lattice. So, now if you think about the crystal structure, then the few more important things that you want to know. First is what is the atomic radius? Atomic radius, because to understand the geometrical shape and size, these are required, and the information relevant to properties of that structure can be explained only in terms of these things. Atomic radius. So, then what is atomic radius? If there is a crystal, there must be atomic radius, because atoms are involved there. Then what is that atomic radius? You might have read in solid state, right? What do you mean by then atomic radius? Anybody have idea about atomic radius? You know atomic radius, meaning of atomic radius, but when it is crystal, that is same or different, that is the question. You know atomic radius, but when you are dealing with crystal, is it same or different, that is the question now. If you take a cubic crystal, let us say this is a cubic crystal, and here are the atoms like this, right. So, now you see here to here, this is your A, right, and this is your radius, atomic radius. So, atomic radius is A by 2, right. That is the atomic radius for crystals. Radius must be expressed in terms of lattice parameters, otherwise it cannot be accepted to be atomic radius. If you are not expressing the atomic radius in terms of the lattice parameter, it is never acceptable to be the atomic radius. So, for crystals like this simple cubic, you can tell it is A by 2, but not always, right. For simple cubic only, it is A by 2, if A is the lattice parameter of cubic system. So, similarly, for BCC and FCC, you try what is the atomic radius for BCC and FCC. For simple cubic, it is A by 2, and similarly for BCC and FCC. 3 dimensional geometry is required, you know it, do it. So, this is only for primitive or simple cubic, right. So, similarly for BCC and FCC, what is the atomic radius? For BCC and for FCC, root 3 by 4 A, right, right. You try to do your mathematics, but it will be root 3 by 4 A, right. Similarly, for this it is root 2 by 4 A. It is, you can solve it, but to better keep it in your mind, denominator is 4, BCC and FCC, right. Otherwise, you can write this as 1 by 2 root 2, but in order to not make it not complicated, better to write with denominator 4. So, this is root 3, this is root 2, easy to remember, right. So, for BCC it is root 3 by 4 A, and for FCC it is root 2 by 4 A. A is the same lattice parameter, because all are cubic, right. So, this is one atomic radius. Then the next is the coordination number. Coordination number. So, what do you mean by the coordination number? Number of nearest neighbors, but there should be a origin, otherwise how can you select which are the nearest neighbors, right. You have to select an origin, otherwise there is no meaning of telling nearest neighbor. So, in that way if you proceed, for simple cubic it is 6, right. For simple cubic, why it is 6, try to understand. Coordination number for simple cubic is 6. Am I right or wrong? Coordination number for simple cubic system is 6. Because if I will select this is my origin, one atom, then nearest neighbors are how many? Obviously 6, right. Anywhere you can take your origin, but number will never change, nearest neighbor will be 6 only, right. So, the coordination number for simple cubic system is 6, and similarly for BCC 8, for BCC it is 8, for FCC it is 12. Find it out, how and why, right. For simple cubic it is 6, for BCC it is 8, for FCC it is 12. Then similarly, another thing is the packing fraction, packing fraction, right. So, what do you mean by packing fraction? Packing fraction is nothing but the ratio of the volume of the entities occupied really, right. Volume of the entities occupied really per unit cell to volume of the unit cell. Really means how many entities are there, what is the volume of one entity, then accordingly total volume occupied really in the unit cell, that is V prime. But volume of the unit cell is V, that ratio is the packing fraction, means it will tell you how closely the entities are packed. That is why it is called as packing fraction. So, this V, if you take for example for a simple cubic system, then what will be this ratio? Packing fraction. Find out. You know the atomic radius, find the volume, then volume of the unit cell. Tell the ratio how much it is. What is the packing fraction for a simple cubic system? For simple cubic it is how much? It is pi by 6, check it. Pi by 6, which is constant, and that is nothing but equal to 0.52. Pi by 6 is same as 0.52. then if you go for BCC, then it is how much? Root 3 by 8 pi. You do the mathematics yourself. Root 3 by 8 pi, and hence it gives the value of 0.68 for BCC, and similarly for FCC it is pi root 6 divided by 6, which is 0.74. So, now you tell yourself which is more closely packed, obviously, right, because the volume fraction or packing fraction is more for FCC. You know why? Reason is very clear. If it is simple cubic, only corner atoms are there, lot of space is available, hence it is not closely packed. But if you go for FCC, relatively more space is covered. That is why the packing fraction for FCC is more than simple cubic, more than BCC. That idea you can have in your mind, that how closely the crystal atoms or entities are packed in the system. That is, either you can tell packing fraction, or sometimes it is called as volume fraction, because it is in terms of volume. Packing fraction is same as volume fraction, right. And then the another important thing that you might know about the HCP, all of you might have read it, HCP, hexagonal closed pack system, very important for minerals. Usually the minerals are having that structure, HCP, right. So, if it is having HCP, then what is the packing fraction? Packing fraction for HCP, it is almost same, 0.74, this value, but try to find it out, verify it, do not believe me. You justify yourself why and how it is. You know the reason how to calculate, calculate and find out, right. So, for HCP the packing fraction is same to FCC, but again in HCP structure the very important parameter that you know is C by A ratio, right, C by A, and for HCP structure that ratio is how much? That also you verify, 1.633. For HCP structure it is 1.633, because these are constant things that you have to know, right. If it is HCP, it must have to satisfy that relation, otherwise it cannot be HCP. So, these are the few things that is relevant with any crystal structure. And another thing I am just telling you, let us say for example, I will tell you this cubic system, I am showing at the corner, but does not mean that it only covers the corner, right, as I told it here, atomic dimension. I am representing by point, not by atom. It is a lattice, not crystal, right. That is the difference between crystal and lattice. Lattice means I am representing the corner by points, but when the point is replaced by atom, then only you are getting the crystal. So, then now the lattice parameter is, for example, let this is a lattice, then you know about Miller indices, direction of the axis, Miller indices, because there is a group of points in space if it is a lattice. So, select any point at the origin, right, select any point at the origin, then from that point you can draw many directions, right, you can draw many directions, you take anywhere the origin is, but connect that point to any point in the lattice, right. and generally the directions are represented by u, v, w, u, v, w, right. So, what do you mean by say, suppose for example, let us say I will go in this direction, this is a direction, let this is my origin, right. Then if it is direction A, then I can tell this is the total length here, let us say x is equal to how much, 1, 2, 3, it is 3 times u, right, 3 times u. In A direction it is u, in B direction it is v, in C direction it is w. You cannot change it, remember. The symbols are very important in crystallography. So, if you are going in A direction it must be u, in B direction it must be v, in C direction it must be w, u, v, w, and hence if you take any length in a crystal lattice, then it must be an integral multiple of that values u, v, w. You can take origin anywhere, you connect the lattice point any point, but it must be satisfying this condition, that means suppose for example, let that vector is p, then I should write it as n 1 u plus n 2 v plus n 3 w is a must, any direction you can go. Similar now the, if let us say for example, this is an atomic plane, another atomic plane, another atomic plane, like that many are there if it is a crystal. And what is an atomic plane? Any plane can be an atomic plane. Can you select any plane to be an atomic plane? No. Then what is that atomic plane? When you will tell that it is an atomic plane? If the plane is rich in atoms, then only, otherwise not, right. If the plane is rich in atoms, then only can accept that to be an atomic plane. Like for example, if I will tell this cubic system, this cannot be an atomic plane, right. If I take a plane in the middle, it cannot be, because it contains no atoms, but this is an atomic plane. Similarly, if you connect the diagonal, it is also an atomic plane. So, if the plane is rich in atoms, then only can take that as an atomic plane, otherwise not. So, like that I am selecting here an atomic plane. Let these are the atomic planes. So, you imagine now how many, you see in this direction you are getting atomic planes, in this direction you are getting atomic planes, in this direction also you are getting atomic planes, and similarly diagonally, right. The orientation of the atomic planes you can look after this at unit cell from cubic to understand how many orientations are there to represent the atomic planes, and one such direction I am showing here, right. So, now and they are represented by Miller indices H, K, L. Any set of planes, atomic planes are represented by the indices called as Miller indices. Miller indices will tell you the orientation of atomic planes in a crystal, how the planes are oriented, right. The Miller indices are the index you can tell, which will tell you in what orientation which atomic plane is there in the crystal. Like for example, if you go in this direction, let the interplanar spacing is d1, then all the time in that direction it is d1, right. If the distance between this plane and this plane is d1, then you can go extend it to infinite, but it will never change, it will all the time d1, right. That distance is called as the interplanar spacing. In between two atomic planes the distance is d1. So, forever it is d1 in that direction. But if similarly if I will go this plane and this plane, again same d1. Similarly, the other two faces same d1, but when you go to diagonal it is different, right. If you go for the diagonals, suppose for example, this is a diagonalic plane, another diagonalic plane will be here, distance between them will not be d1, it will differ. So, the interplanar spacing means you must have to understand what planes you are considering, which atomic plane, which orientation. Therefore, D is all the time represented as DHKL, otherwise it has no meaning. The interplanar spacing for planes with Miller indices HKL. So, if HKL values are different, obviously the interplanar spacing is also different. From 3-dimensional geometry, you try to relate this A with this HKL values, right. It is nothing but equal to DHKL divided by root over S square plus K square plus L square. Try to establish the relation from 3-dimensional geometry. The lattice parameter is relevant to Miller indices by that relation. Lattice parameter A, interplanar spacing DHKL and HKL are the Miller indices. So, it will be evaluated from the 3-dimensional geometry, remembering this relation cos square alpha plus cos square beta plus cos square gamma is all the time 1 from 3-dimensional geometry. You know alpha, beta, gamma, right. From there you derive this relation, it is very important for cubic. A is equal to DHKL by root over H square plus K square plus L square. So, knowing two values HKL and D, you can find out A. Knowing A and HKL, you can find out DHKL, right. 3 variables are there, out of 3 if 2 are known, other one can be determined. And similarly, if for example, if I will go for this kind of cubic system, let us say you can derive the same lattice parameter in the other way also, A, right. Now, tell what is the mass of this unit cell, how will you get it? How will you get it, the mass of the unit cell? Unit cell involves atoms, atom is having mass, right. So, how to get the mass of unit cell? One way, another way in terms of Avogadro's number. One is right, you can tell it is AQ rho, rho is the density, that tells you the mass of the unit cell, right. But the other way in terms of Avogadro's number, what is the mass of that unit cell? In terms of Avogadro's number, what is the unit cell mass? You try to verify this, it is m by n, n is the Avogadro's number, m is the molecular weight, if it is atom only atomic weight, right. So, it is the mass of one entity, mass of one entity, entity may be atom, may be molecule, may be ion, right, all are having mass, then multiplied by number of entities, that is also total mass of the unit cell, right. So, now if you equivalent these two, it is AQ rho, then you can find out A also. So, AQ rho equal to m by n times small n is the number of entities per unit cell, capital N is the Avogadro's number, m is the molecular weight or atomic weight as the case may be. So, both are giving the mass, from there you can establish a relation for A, lattice parameter, if it is cubic, not all, these are all I am telling for cubic only. So, now what is the value of A? A will be equal to m by n multiplied by n divided by rho to the power 1 by 3, right. So, that is another way of getting lattice parameter A for a cubic system, provided if you know the density of that material, molecular weight of the molecules involved there or the atomic weight of that atoms involved there, and number of atoms or entities per unit cell, that is small n, and Avogadro's number is obviously constant. So, if you know all these things, you can tell what is the lattice parameter of that unit cell if it is cubic. It is our time. So, try to derive the Bragg's law, we will discuss next class. Bragg's law, all of you might have know it, but I want to express this in reciprocal space, not real space. Bragg's law in reciprocal space, because that is the space where everything is going on, scattering, diffraction, everything. So, try to derive the Bragg's law in reciprocal space or momentum space, same thing, momentum space or reciprocal space. Bragg's law is n lambda is twice d h scale sin theta, right, but that Bragg's law is not helpful for diffraction and scattering. Derive the Bragg's law in reciprocal space or in K space or in momentum space.